Joining us now on the U.S. China relationship, Carlos Gutierrez, who served as Commerce Secretary and Kellogg CEO. He's now CEO of EmPath. Thanks for joining us,
Thank you,
Mr. Secretary. And I agree with most of you comments. Any dialogue is good at this point. The most important thing is we get our military, the respective militaries of both countries, back in contact with each other. When President Xi said the planet's big enough for both of us, I would take that as face value as a very good thing. I just don't know if I really believe it and whether it really changes any of China's long-term goals. I don't know if it really does. And I don't like, sometimes I think we're just watching, someone smiling while you're, in the country and everything else. But when you go back, I think maybe you go back to what you've been pursuing all along, right?
Yeah, that's the big challenge, and that's the trust but verify. I think it made sense that this time it was about national security. And you didn't hear anything about tariffs or, commercial issues. It was more about military to military and trying to get that settled. It's a little bit alarming that the two most powerful nations in the world don't talk or haven't been talking, especially military to military. And then fentanyl is, I think that's a pretty easy one. It's hard to argue against that. The Chinese have decided or have agreed to cut production. I don't think they can do that. They've got to go out and find people who are doing this. But that will be an interesting part of this to monitor. Is are both sides, hitting the agreements on fentanyl?
The one publication phrased it as rounding up the usual suspects. The Casablanca line about fentanyl, but nothing really is going to happen. And it will also be interesting, Mr. Secretary, to see about some of the actions in the South China Sea, whether that changes. Because on a daily basis, there's Chinese aircraft carriers going across the midline in the Taiwan Straits. There's things going on in the Philippines. There's a lot of behavior that looks like it's presaging some eventual move, either a blockade or a full-on. I mean, they're still very active over there in sort of moves that indicate something could be in the offing. Is that going to stop?
Yeah, you'd like to think that'll settle down. It's it's been going on for a long time, but it has ratcheted up, and now is the time after the summit to tone it down a bit. It would be a little bit cynical to come and have a summit on military-to-military communication when you're planning to move on Taiwan. So that, in a sense, is also, I think, a good indicator. It doesn't mean they never will, but it's not in the cards right now, and I think that's good, because a lot of people think it is.
And it helped both men, no doubt, in terms of, President Xi needs to make nice, and in terms of global trade, wants foreign investment. President Biden doesn't need a third problem. I mean, we got Ukraine and we have the Middle East. I mean, that's all you need. It's like we need to tamp things down here.
Exactly, and I think President Biden has some to lose politically, which I think is why they didn't get into the commercial side as well. But if he gets too close, soft on China will be on every candidate's talking points.
Yeah.
So, the fact that he's trying to do it the right way. He's not buckling under pressure. I think that's another consideration. And then President Xi also has, political pressure at home, believe it or not. And he doesn't want to, go down in WeChat saying he's soft on the U.S. So that's also kind of a cloud hanging over this game,
There will be criticism of it, like there always is. Nobody's ever happy. But do you think President Biden is too solicitous? Does President Xi deserve him to be that sort of accommodating after the spy balloon and the military base near Cuba and everything else? I mean, should he confronted him? Should President Biden have confronted him even more forcefully?
Well, that's what we don't know, is how much of a confrontation was going on during the meeting. And I think that's something that, when the Chinese talk about respect, it's not the sovereignty or Uyghurs, or It's about don't scold me in public. So in that regard, yes, the president made some comments about the dictatorship, but they weren't over the top. And I think that's what I believe President Biden is trying to do is bring down the tension by making these talks private. Tell the Chinese anything you want about anything they're doing, but do it in a closed door. If you do it in public, it defeats the purpose. And I think that's why perhaps President Biden not talking a lot about what was said inside the meeting or quoting what was inside the meeting.
Secretary, delicate subject, but do you think that President Xi was sizing up President Biden's mental state at this point and what he could be like if he wins re-election, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? That would be President Xi's adversary. And do you think that he's looking for signs of weakness to be able to, continue along with whatever his plans are and what the CCP's plans are?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's something that every one of these meetings is sizing up one against the other. But, there are also people in the room who are doing that. But there's no question that these summits are, in a sense, to present yourself and leave the impression you want to leave. President Biden is saying he was very clear. He, was very candid. We can only hope. I mean, his comments at the end were bland, but it's all about what happens outside of the meeting. And that we don't know. But I think he is, as you say, Joe, he's on a tightrope. He can't afford to not speak to China, but if he speaks too much and too nice, he's going to get clobbered for it. So, this is where the diplomatic dance really comes to life and the prowess.
Right. Well, you know what? There were no stumbles, falls, nothing like that. No one threw up on anyone like we saw in the past. So, I mean, we'd have to call it at this point, I think, a success. And on a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably about a 7 or so.
I think it's definitely on the right track. 7 in the right direction. We should feel good about it.